from the RIVM, the Dutch National Institute for Public Health and Environment, started their project of taking measurements and collecting samples at various locations around the landfill in Philipsburg and the surrounding areas. Fixed monitoring stations were set up at the Festival Village, the Miss Lally Commercial Center, the Fire Department, and an area in Fort Willem. An additional monitoring system was also set up in the Public Works Yard. These stations collected data 24 hours a day, and in addition, smaller mobile stations sampled in other strategic areas intermittently. The project was originally slated for 2 weeks, with the possibility of an extension of an additional week if needed. As the project is in its final stages, we are engaging in discussions on the possibility of some of the monitoring equipment being left behind in the care of trained personnel for an additional period to collect even more data. Once collected, these samples will be transported to the Netherlands in refrigerated containers, where they will be analyzed to assess any potential risks posed to the population. Based on the results of these analyses, RIVM will then draw up a risk assessment report. This report will be submitted to us. The results of this study will help to inform the VRUMI Ministry as well as the Ministry of Health if and to know what measures need to be taken to mitigate damage to the health of the population if it is the case. It can also serve as a base reading once the fire suppression activities begin. We will, of course, also release the results publicly. The ministry continues with its car wreck removal project, which has been ongoing for a number of weeks. This is being done to ensure that our roadways and neighborhoods are clear of obstructions that are not only unsightly, but are public health and safety hazards as well. A large number of cars have already been removed from various districts, and this will continue. Unfortunately, it always seems that there are residents that continually seek to frustrate the work of the government, and I'm sorry to say that lack of respect and lack of pride in the beautification and cleanliness of their surroundings. I ask the public's cooperation in not complicating the process by adding additional car wrecks once an area has already been cleared. We have noticed that the ministry has received specific complaints from residents that persons are dumping more wrecks on the roadside once an area has been cleaned up. The money that we spend in picking up the abandoned cars is every dollar that we spend in picking up an abandoned car is one less dollar that the ministry has to spend on the fixing of roads or cleaning of our drainage systems or of any other dozen tasks that the ministry performs. I ask the owners of the cars that are no longer drivable to please make proper arrangements to have their cars properly and legally disposed of. Moving on, as of January 30th, household garbage in parcel 5 and 6 will once again be collected by the company Roberto and Son. In the latter half of last year, due to non-compliance with the terms of their contract, these parcels were temporarily awarded to 2 other local companies, with the knowledge and agreement of Roberto and Son. Payment for these temporary contracts were pulled from the account of the company Roberto and Son, so the government did not have to pay any extra monies for the switch.
It's been said that behind every door, possibility awaits. How much possibility depends on which door you open first. Every day, we help our customers discover the possibilities in their lives. It all starts with a conversation. Scotiabank. Discover what's possible.
GEBE has been faithfully serving the communities of St. Martin, powering your home and our economy. Come rain or shine, our qualified team of professionals are working hard 24 hours a day to provide you and your family with safe, reliable electricity and water. We use the latest technologies and test our products daily to maintain the highest international standards. Our friendly staff is always there to assist you, whether in person, over the phone, or online. We are committed to constantly improving our products and services, making them more efficient, effective, and environmentally friendly to serve you better today and our next generation of clients tomorrow. GEBE, powering a brighter future.
Our friend Megawati is here with tips to save you energy. 1. Turn your airco temperature up. 2. Use a ceiling fan instead. 3. Buy energy-saving products. Save some green with NVGEBE.
Madam Chairlady, finally, I'm prepared to address any legitimate grievances against as it relates to my performance of my ministry. I truly understand the concerns of Parliament as it relates to the airport, and I trust the answers provided here today to the questions asked in the first round of this meeting of Parliament will significantly assure the honourable members of Parliament of government's unwavering commitment to finalising the reconstruction of the terminal building and introduce US pre-clearance. Madam Chairlady, the FBO should be reconstructed by the users of the airport, and we will also recognise the need for additional capital investments to fund the airport improvement projects, such as the bypass and the much-needed reconstruction of the fire station at the airport. These critical investments need serious consideration from our flagship airport to completely rebound. Thank you once again, Madam Chairlady, for the opportunity to address the members of Parliament and the people of St. Martin before I answer the questions posed.
Thank you, Minister Stuart Johnson. The opportunity is now there for any point of clarification. Oh, you didn't? Okay, members of Parliament, thank you. The minister's not yet finished. Minister, I thought that your answers was included in your presentation.
Thank you,
may
Madam
proceed.
Chairlady. Thank you. In response to MP Richardson's question, what time frame requested by the airport is to see the proposal of Piper Jaffray, or is Piper Jaffray off the table? I have not engaged in any discussion with any financial arranger. However, the airport is the responsible entity. A term sheet was received, but no arrangement as yet has been signed at this time. The next question from the responsible MP, Mr. Richardson. Are alternative financiers also on board for the financing of the airport? Is there anything outside of the favorable financing available for the airport? The response: I have not engaged in any discussions with any financial arranger. However, the airport is the responsible entity. In regards to the question posed by MP Rolando Bryson, what are other alternative options does the airport have? Are they still working with Piper Jaffray? What has the Prime Minister and the shareholder representative done to support the airport? What support has the airport received to help find alternative financing? Has the COM helped in that respect? Seeking financing is not the role of the shareholder representative. Based on the Corporate Governance Code, the shareholder representative must be at arm's length. MP Silveria Jacobs' question was, what was the financial status of the airport prior to Hurricane Irma? Prior to Hurricane Irma, the company had a very healthy financial state of affairs with a positive net income. Additionally, given the company's financial situation, the debt service coverage ratio was 1.90, which meant that the company could have gone out of market to borrow an additional $90 million. Was the institution able to live up to its obligations? Yes, and the response is based once again on the response provided just now. In terms of the liquidity possibilities for borrowing with the 90 million, as previously stated, MP. Thank you.
Hey ma, how you doing? You busy?
I hear, just paying some bills, taking care of business, you know what it is?
I know, you're doing your online banking.
I don't have to stand in those long lines to pay bills. I can transfer when I want. I can check my account wherever. It's like the bank open 24/7. I even here checking the statement right now as we're talking. How's Miami?
Well, that's why I'm calling. I'm finishing up a few songs now, but I'm afraid that studio time might be more than I thought. And I was wondering if I could get some help with some funds, and I could pay you back as soon as I get back to St. Martin.
Let me check my account. How much you need?
I think 500 should be enough.
I can transfer it to you while online. Direct from me to you. No problem.
Great. Thank you so much, Ma. I'll get online with Viv now.
Alright, darling. You know who you're for?
I need to know who you're for.
Contact Wib today for your complete personal online banking experience. Available for all mobile devices. The Wynwood Islands Bank, now your online banking partner in progress.
Who you're for.
On the second part, it was stated the failure of the Prime Minister Leona Marlin to act timely upon the requests by the airport for a letter of guarantee to secure the necessary financing to rebuild the airport and its facilities. Thus far, 2 letters of comfort have been given to the airport and its investors, and to date, the government have not received a response to those letters. That this failure to act has pressured the airport and the government to entertain discussions and conditions for financing, which under normal circumstances would not have been entertained. What happened is that the airport management, who carries the primary responsibility for the financials of the airport, was not able to secure the necessary financing on the private market. On the requests of the airport, the government has therefore secured very attractive public financing through the World Bank and the European Investment Bank. The airport has accepted this option as of last resort because it has no viable alternatives, at least not at this 11th hour. That Prime Minister Leona Marlin lacks in transparency, openness, and integrity, which is evident from the fact that Prime Minister provides information to Parliament primarily when called to Parliament during meetings requested by opposition parties. As we are all aware, the job of a Prime Minister is not an easy task. Government requires commitment and a strong support system from the people around you. As stated above, I have fulfilled my obligations to Parliament by attending all meetings when called upon and given all information when requested. That Prime Minister Leona Marlin's ability to lead her cabinet in focusing on rebuilding a vibrant economy is in question when the airport is not given the timely attention when such is requested. The reconstruction of the airport has been a top priority since this government has taken office. The recovery strategy focuses on repairing and rebuilding the airport and related facilities to higher standards to ensure resilience of critical infrastructure to future disasters. That fact, today we are discussing $100 million financing speaks volumes on the efforts made to secure the reconstruction of the gateway to St. Martin's economy. That Prime Minister Leona Marlin has shown no evidence of results of restoring a strong social fabric and promoting a resilient sense of community. Community resilience remains at the forefront of projected activities and will manifest in trainings and guidance of community leaders to ensure that no one in society, especially the most vulnerable, will be left behind. That Prime Minister Leona Marlin's approach to kingdom relations does not echo the sentiments and positions taken by her own coalition and could further threaten the autonomous position of St. Martin in the kingdom. Since taking office, I've always been ready to work with any member of parliament, ministers, all partners within the entire kingdom to ensure that St. Martin retains that confidence of all, and most importantly, the people of St. Martin. That more than a year after the destruction of Hurricane Irma, not a roof has been repaired with the Dutch recovery funds, so stated by the Dutch General Audit Chamber. Ruim 1 jaar na de verwoestende orkaan Irma is op St. Maarten met het Nederlandse geld voor het wederopbouw nog geen dak op het eiland hersteld. Dat schrijft de Nederlandse Algemene Rekeningkamer. I've taken note of the report, and despite the time it has taken, we have made tremendous progress with the rebuilding of this country. And as I stated before, many of the earlier projects repaired roofs and houses were executed by agencies and NGOs, UNDP, St. Martin Development Fund, Red Cross, and recently the St. Martin Housing Development Foundation. And its last point was shared concerns by coalition partner Westcott Williams, as reflected in the headline in today's daily paper of a press release issued by the President of Parliament, Westcott Williams, time to objectively evaluate World Bank program and bottlenecks. We are in constant dialogue to improve and speed up the processes where possible.
So the motion of no confidence presented by the opposition, NA and USP parties in Parliament against Prime Minister Romeo Marlin had to be a motion against the Dutch Secretary of Kingdom Relations, Raymond Knops, and the Dutch government, because it was the Dutch who took the decisions to make the recovery of St. Martin housing situation of the people so difficult. It wasn't the St. Martin government. Former Prime Minister William Marlin, who presented the motion, should have known better. Why no motion was presented until now for the Dutch government to understand that they have to comply with the international covenants they have signed on behalf of the kingdom? Why didn't they present a motion for the government to instruct the Minister Plenipotentiary to table on the agenda of the kingdom government the compliance with Article 11 of the International Covenant on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights, and to comply with Article 43 of the Charter of the Kingdom, and guarantee the people of St. Martin an adequate housing and living condition to be more resilient for when hurricanes or other natural disasters strike us? Help is needed, just as they could use the military to help immediately after the hurricane. They could have instructed the military to come and help rebuild the country to be more resilient for a next hurricane. Just as they provided the Karel Doorman to bring relief goods, they could have continued to use this ship to bring in all the necessary material and fly-in persons to build back the homes better and stronger and more resilient against Cat 5+ hurricanes.
people really experience. And talking with many people right after the hurricane and doing some assessments and some companies with the staff and stuff, and listening to the stories, where they are at. You would hear the feelings of the anxieties, the worries. Am I going to be able to get back where I was? Am I going to be able to regain the loss? The depression. And with the depression, a lot of depression surrounding personal loss, whether it was of pictures, whether it was of clothing, whether it was, certificates, diplomas. There was a grief process about personal loss. As much as we might say, okay, well, it's just material things, but people had attachment to a lot of things that were lost, that they actually grieved. And grieving personal loss is very similar to a grief of somebody that was close to you. So many persons went through that process of feeling angry and frustrated and how they're going to, identify their life again after having lost these personal items and belongings that they, were held there to them. Shocked was another one that we saw a lot. People were very much emotionally numb, not feeling, not connecting, being dazed and confused, and really, really in a feeling of numbness. And they stayed in that stage for a pretty long time. Disbelief and really difficulty connecting back to the environment because they shut it down and shut it off because it was so traumatic for them to accept in their defense. The high frustration level was there, not only in terms of as hurricane, but also in the workplaces was there. On the road, you could see it. In relationship and communication, people was really on the edge. And they were like that for a pretty long time. The sense of emptiness, feeling helpless, feeling hopeless was a constant feeling that would come out of the conversation with persons. Many people have problems concentrating and poor memory, and this was a concern for them because, I don't remember, I can't focus, I can't get my stuff done. And the reason for that, too, because of the extent of the stress, the trauma that these persons experienced, was so difficult for them, and to reassure them that it will pass. Your memory, your ability to remember, your focus would return once things are settled. But this was something that was new for many persons who couldn't understand why, I can't connect, why I don't seem to remember the things I used to anymore, why it's taking me so long, why even reading a book or reading a sentence was so difficult to do and retain. And having them to, reassuring them that it's part of the process of a major stressful situation were helpful for them to recognize that it's temporary. And so it's something that was very difficult for them. Taking off frustrations on friends, on families, arguments, a lot of family feud, a lot of confusion was happening there as well. A lot of interpersonal conflicts were going on, in the workplace, in the family settings. There were changes in people's thoughts, in the way they think, because it demands a shift in perception, a shift in how you see life. Were there as well, behavior patterns, things that people used to do, they never do it anymore, or they had to develop because of survival. Sleep patterns was something that was affected. Your eating habits was something that was affected because you were not eating the way you're accustomed of eating, so you were having problems. Some people having problems with their diet, problems with their stomach. Some people having problems with understanding, that it would normalize, in the beginning. There were increase in the consumption of alcohol. You find people smoking more, drinking more, and that was just part of a coping method, coping way of dealing with the pain, the anxiety, the fear, the stress of having, lost or gone through this devastation. The anger was very high, very, very high among our people. Aggressive reaction, persons who was very reactive in the sense that you have to be so cautious what you say and how you say things to person, how you communicate, because they were on edge. Everything was an emotional reaction, a physical reaction, an aggressive reaction during these times. There were a lot of complaints on physical complaints on the body with the aches and pains, the headaches, the stomach aches, the back aches. That was very common complaints that you would hear and talking to the physicians. This was some of the main complaints that would come in. at the time, and also persons who had health problems, certain health problems, we service during that time. Persons who have mental health problems, we service during that time. So sometimes we look and see, well, the whole population was totally devastated. Everybody was suffering from PTSD, but sometimes we realize that persons who were already on the edge, in some cases, you just needed that little tip and just tipped over and had to go back and deal with their own emotional pain and go back and get treatment because of the stress that was there that pushed them over the edge.